Hey, good morning, everybody. Mike Searles, this is for you. You kind of laid down a challenge for me because I do lives on a whimsy. I'm kind of whimsical about it. And I thought, I've never done one early in the morning. So let's whip this out and see how it goes. Yesterday, I had a crazy, crazy day. And I'm going to tell you a little story. And it's about a jackknife. Does anybody remember doing jackknife dives when we were kids? You go up in the air and come down perfectly and rip the water. When I was about, I think I was either 15 or 16, 4 foot 11 inches, all of 90 pounds, I spent the entire summer perfecting the jackknife dive. Nobody paid attention. Nobody knew what I was doing. Nobody knew I was obsessed with it. Nobody was coaching me. I just kept showing up at every public pool in my little hometown every time it was open so I could practice doing jackknife dives. Do a dive, swim to the ladder, repeat the process over and over until by the end of the summer, I got it absolutely perfect. Now, here's how this plays into yesterday. I have been kind of in a liminal space for about 3 days. And if you know me at all, you know me very or have followed me at all, you know that I'm very fond of the 4-4-6 breathing practice. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. And I spent the weekend doing that every hour on the hour to really get my nervous system comfortable because something really strange happened on Thursday. And here's why I've got uncomfortable. Thursday, I released an article about being duped. And Newsbreak, a news aggregator, scraped, gathered my article off of Substack and published it on Newsbreak. And all of a sudden, my articles that usually get, I don't know, 2 to 3,000 views and reads went up to 21,000. Whoa, that was a lot to handle. That was a lot to handle. And it kinda did I messed around with my head a little bit also because all of a sudden 500 people subscribed from that. And, some of them paid. And that was a very pleasant surprise, but nonetheless, it was still an interesting experience. I'm not gonna say it made me afraid. I just kept sitting there thinking, "Oh my god, this is like if I was a singer in a concert hall with 21,000 people in front of me," because that's basically what happened. Well, that kind of put me in a contemplative, let me pull everything back, ponder this kind of mode because, it's one thing to write every day for the people I know that are gonna see me and write and talk with me, but it's an entirely different thing to know that there are people off platform reading it. So I had to do some adjustment. So I spent the weekend thinking about what that really meant for me, for my readers, for the women I really seek to empower to know their own personal power, which is ultimately what I write about. So I took my own advice and I spent the weekend and I did the one-on-one breathing. I s It was a very flat energy weekend. So when I had this idea bubble up around 9 o'clock Sunday night, I thought, "Oh, that's it. That's where I'm going with this." And I felt like it was information directly from my soul, and in point of fact, it really was, because the information was, "Do what I'm doing right now." However, I got that information at 9 o'clock on Sunday night from my soul. Monday morning, I woke up with an, "Oh, shit." I did not wake up with the energy one would expect if you have a new idea that kind of propels your own energy. And then I thought about the jackknife, and I thought, "Well, I'm gonna have to do something different." I trained myself to do a jackknife dive when I was 16. I can train myself to live a different day. So I did. Now, what that means is this: normally I wake up with loads of creative energy as I am right now. Um, but that didn't happen yesterday. And in fact, it didn't happen for 5 days in a row. So I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm so screwed. I'm going to lose everything because I need this creative energy." And it wasn't coming. And I finally figured out that I had to make peace with that and adjust the rhythm. What was happening was all of that regulation I did all weekend with that breathing was adjusting me without me acknowledging it. So I acknowledged it and said, okay, this is different. So instead of doing, normally I do my domestic chores like washing dishes, sweeping the floor, whatnot, in the later afternoon or towards the late in the evening as part of my preparation for shutting the day down and getting prepared for bed. I'm putting my body on notice that, okay, we're doing chores now. We're getting ready to shut the business down. We're going to go to bed. I reversed everything and did all of the domestic stuff at the beginning of the day. And here's the interesting thing. All of a sudden at 4 o'clock, whoosh, came this big uh, creative energy impulse that I just had to do things. I had to get moving, and it was kind of an interesting moment. So the upshot of it is I learned how to that I could train. I remembered I could train myself. I could take control of what I was doing, and I used my brain to do that. I remembered that by remembering the jackknife memory from when I was 15, 16 years old. I jackknife dove into clear water, but yesterday I did jackknives into unclear water. And you know what? It came out really, really well. It came out really fun. I allowed my body to show me what I should or should not be doing. And I wanted to fight it. There was a tension. I wanted to say, no, no, I should be productive. I should. All the shoulda, coulda, wouldas in the world wasn't going to change that. My body was not doing anything. It was not getting dressed. It was not going outside. It was not going for a walk. My body said, sit down. Oh, okay. So I sat down and did those chores and I gave in to it. And it turned out to be one of the most joyous personal gifts that my soul has ever given me. Well, I was my own test subject to say that you can regulate, you can make yourself feel better, but you also have to allow the integration. And those 2 or 3 days that I sat around basically looking like a slob, doing nothing, didn't allow anything particular to happen. I didn't paint. I didn't do anything. And this is the painting that started coming out of me at 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon after 2 or 3 days of doing nothing because I allowed the integration of my new awareness to integrate between my mind, my heart, and my body. And if you skip that critical part of integration, you're just going to be in a push pull tug of war with your own soul and your own spirit. And that's not a fun place to be. But I got to tell you, I didn't necessarily like the 2 or 3 days of integration. It was really kind of uncomfortable. Um, I cooked some pretty good food. I hung out, but my biggest problem was that I couldn't find anything to entertain me because I'm just bored to tears with whatever is available on the television apps through Roku. So that's really kind of my long and the short of it is that I did a jackknife dive into my life yesterday, the same way I used to do jackknife dives when I was a teenager back in Lake Charles, Louisiana. The only difference was when I was doing the jackknife dive as a kid, I went into clear blue water. And yeah, I made that little rip. I made that happen. But whew, doing a jackknife dive into the unknown in your own life, well, that takes some faith and trust, and I did it, and I'm very pleased that I did it, and I'm probably gonna do it again today because here's the thing, by doing a jackknife dive, by telling my body I'm gonna jackknife into this day means that I'm not in control of this, my soul is. And the quality of my connection to my soul being paramount, I can fully, fully trust what I'm gonna do with the rest of the day. Well, 25 of you have been hanging out with me on this lovely Tuesday morning. I thank you so much for doing that with me. I hope you had a jackknife kind of day. One of the best ways to kick off a jackknife day for me is I walk around saying, I get to. I mean, I'm literal about this, okay? I get to put my glasses on. I get to take a sip of my coffee. I get to. I just say I get to all day long. And man, the energy just starts shifting and changing very quickly. So give yourself some get tos. Make a whole list of get tos. Go find everything you get to do. Do you get to unload the dishwasher? Do you get to go put gas in your car? Do you get to go pick up the kids? Do you get to go to your grandson? Get to. What do you get to do today? And then jet life down right into that day and just bring all the love you and passion you have in your heart to everything you get to do. That's it for today. Thank you so much for hanging with me. Later, gator.